For decades, the alliance between the United States and Israel operated on a single, rock-solid assumption: unconditional American backing. Today, that historically resilient partnership is undergoing an extreme stress test, driven by two leaders relying on highly uncompromising political instincts. According to multiple reports, the private dialogue has turned toxic. President Trump has allegedly described Benjamin Netanyahu as effing crazy, and during one tense phone call regarding Israeli military actions, Trump bluntly demanded to know what the expletive Israel was doing. Washington's message was clear. Trump declared that he calls the shots for regional diplomacy. When Netanyahu pushed back, the White House delivered a stark ultimatum: fall in line or Israel would soon be completely on its own. That rhetoric quickly translated into military friction. On April 17th, Trump publicly claimed he had prohibited Israel from conducting further bombing operations in Lebanon. Yet Netanyahu authorized strikes in Beirut regardless, and ignored another direct American request to halt a major raid on June 1st. The public confrontations are the visible evidence of two allies pursuing incompatible strategic outcomes. While Washington prioritizes a diplomatic off-ramp, Jerusalem is seeking a total military dismantling of its regional adversaries. For the White House, the primary objective is a diplomatic framework agreement that limits Tehran's nuclear capabilities while restoring immediate stability to shipping routes. This chart traces the underlying economic logic of that urgency. A prolonged Middle Eastern conflict directly threatens global shipping lanes, which drives up the cost of a barrel of oil and ultimately spikes inflation across the United States. With congressional midterm elections approaching, those rising consumer costs immediately translate into dropping voter approval. Adding to this pressure, Trump has to navigate deep divisions within his own coalition. Influential figures like Senator Rand Paul are pushing hard for foreign policy restraint, arguing that overseas conflicts only increase the national debt. Conversely, hawkish voices like Senator Lindsey Graham demand the administration intensify its pressure campaign and aggressively finish the job. Caught between a volatile economy and fractured party, securing a Middle East ceasefire has become an absolute requisite for the administration's political survival. Jerusalem's calculus is entirely different. Israeli leadership rejects the idea that Iran and its proxies can simply be managed through negotiations. They view heavily armed organizations like Hezbollah as an immediate catastrophic threat to their civilian population. Consequently, Israel's military objectives have expanded well beyond basic deterrence. They are actively seeking to dismantle Hezbollah's operational infrastructure and apply direct, unyielding pressure to the regime in Tehran. And much like in Washington, domestic politics are forcing the prime minister's hand. Netanyahu is currently navigating a gauntlet of sinking poll numbers and looming legal challenges. He relies on a governing coalition filled with hardline voices. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has publicly argued that Israel must maintain total independence, stating explicitly that there are moments when you need to say no to the President of the United States. For Netanyahu, pushing back against American calls for restraint is a calculated maneuver required to project strength and keep his own government from collapsing. Making matters more volatile is the presence of regional spoilers, entrenched hardline factions that possess a strong incentive to destroy any American-led diplomatic progress. Institutions like Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and independent Hezbollah commanders operate completely outside the negotiating room. Because they control massive, sophisticated arsenals, they have the physical capacity to derail a framework agreement at any moment. A single unauthorized border skirmish along the Lebanese frontier could instantly incinerate months of delicate diplomacy. Despite the public friction, military and intelligence coordination between the United States and Israel is still actively functioning behind closed doors. The operational partnership survives. The immediate priority for American diplomats is securing a ceasefire to ensure critical maritime trade routes, particularly through the Strait of Hormuz, remain open. But the long-standing assumption of automatic alignment is giving way. The political expectation that Washington will follow Jerusalem's lead regardless of cost has evaporated, replaced by a transactional alliance defined by explicit conditions, competing priorities, and cold leverage. The question now is whether this transactional shift will clarify regional strategy, or if growing mistrust between leaders will trigger a wider strategic breakdown. Decisions made in the coming months will determine if this shift stabilizes the region or if the deepening rift leads to a wider regional breakdown.